about what's led to some of Tyler Johnson's on-ice success, but I'm wondering, in the context of his season, some of the professional challenges he faced at the start of it, why you think he was able to get through that and still be a big performer here for you in the Cup final.
Well, there's a reason Tyler Johnson's trophy case is fairly full, and it's because he's a ultimate team player. He's selfless, and there was a time in this organization when we needed to take another step, and Tyler Johnson was one of the leaders of that. And he's just carried that on for years now. And, as teams change and they evolve and salary cap, there's issues with guys are coming up, but there was one thing: we never lost faith in Tyler Johnson. He never lost faith in himself, and roles change and you have to adapt, and nobody's done it better than Tyler. And I couldn't be more happy for somebody, and I know that his teammates were, for his performance tonight and being rewarded for everything he's gone through. And I like I said, I'm extremely happy for the win. I might be a little happier for Tyler Johnson.
We'll go to Dave Retcher.
Coop, I wanted to ask you about the defense's impact on the offense tonight. Aside from the goals, the big pass from Chernak, stretch pass to Palat, when your defense is activating the offense like that, how tough are you guys really to beat?
Well, I think we were catching a little bit of flack as the playoffs went on because our D hadn't scored goals, but it's not always about that. When you're playing offense, you're playing as a 5. And we've really liked the way our D have played. Have they, would like to see them be rewarded a little more for offense, for sure, but they're defending, they're breaking pucks out, they're making the right reads, and like I said, big part of why we had success tonight.
Go to Steve Simmons.
John, you kind of touched on most of this in the answer you gave Chris right off the bat, but I want to talk about your relationship with Tyler. It's 10 years now, 2 years in the minors. You start together as professionals. Can you give me some insight into what those 10 years have been like?
Steve, that's all right. Well, it's, for me, I'm the only coach he's had in pro, and aside from my first year in pro, our year in the American League changed when Tyler Johnson came to our team. Andrei Palat came. There was a group of a nucleus of players, of which Tyler, Palat, and Kaloran are still here, and we had a 28-game win streak to finish the year in the minors. I think we won 43 of 46, and the leader of the way was Tyler Johnson. And then we all kind of made that jump to the NHL, and I felt that kind of the league was changing in the style of play, and Tyler Johnson was a leader in that regard, and that famed triplet line, and I just had a ton of trust in a player he's a winner. And it's the irony of how his role has changed, yet he's still having an impact in the game when he, instead of playing maybe 18 minutes, he's around 10. And the biggest thing for me was getting him back in the middle. That's where he has his success, and putting him on the wing the other night, his minutes were going to go up, but I just didn't feel he'd be the same Tyler Johnson as when he's playing center. And he understands his minutes going to go down if he's playing where he is, but success will follow. And we've gone through our ups and downs together, but I think there's hope. There's some trust there because I trust him. And when you've been with somebody for a decade, it doesn't feel like it. It's crazy to say that out loud, but I've. It's been a little success with our team, and sometimes when you're the head coach, you get some praise, but it's really on the players, and it's guys like Tyler Johnson that have really, took our team to a new level, and now, in a little bit of a different role, he's still having a positive impact. And like I said, good guys get rewarded, and he's being rewarded.
We'll go to Eric Erlinson.
John, we make a lot of some of these stats with your team about record after a loss, or record when leading after the third period, record when leading first, but it takes a certain sort of type of mentality to put those records together. What sort of mentality does this team have in those situations?
I mean, it's easy to throw out like, well, they're winners and they work hard and all that stuff. But let's be honest, like it started, like we changed the makeup of our team. And so we did that. We got a little grittier. And then quote unquote skill guys, they changed their games as well to a winning formula, a winning way to play. Sometimes it's not the flashiest way. And when they started getting rewarded for it, they didn't cheat and say, okay, well, we've done that. That's fine. Let's go back to the way it was. No, the individual accolades got pushed to the side. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. And they all just pull in the same direction. And it's amazing to listen on the bench, for instance, like 4 years ago compared to today, of what is being said and how everybody speaks up. And it's been marvelous to watch and watch this team grow. And it took us some time, but now we're starting to pay some dividends, and we still got a ways to go here, but regardless, the team they put the team first, and that's why we're having success.
Take a couple more for the coach. Joe Smith.
Hey, John, obviously it's hard to replicate the feelings or emotions of chasing the cup for the first time and kind of that desperation or that hunger for it. And I think you've talked many times this year about once you win one, you want to taste it again. It's probably hard to describe it unless you won one before, like we haven't. But how would you describe watching the group? It doesn't seem like quite as emotional, more of like a determined effort from these guys in this whole playoffs to get there. Like, how would you describe the difference of watching these guys this time around versus last year? Chasing it for the first time versus going for that one next one.
Well, probably the difference is we had a lot of like kind of new guys to the room last year. You think Maroon, Shattenkirk, to name a few, and then as the year went on, we get Coleman, Bogosian, Goudreau. Like we were new, and so I think it was fresh faces, and we found a way to make it all work, and it was a really good balance of what we had. This year, it's primarily the same guys, and if there's new guys in there, they were in the organization, so they kind of knew what we were all about. But it's that inner drive, that maturity level they have to understand, like, you start throwing, legacy around and a lot of these words that describe teams that, you sit there and say, geez, they were a pretty damn good team. But you really get that moniker if you win cups. And I know we've won one and nobody can take that away from us, but the determination on this group to get another one is it's amazing to watch. And so, like I said, we are not there yet, but I'm so proud of just the maturity level of this group and their sheer determination to continue and to try and get another one. And hopefully at some point here we can do that.
The last question will be Ken Campbell.
Yeah, John, sort of along the same lines as what Joe just asked, but it seemed like last year there was a lot more emotion involved with your cup run, and this year I don't know, like looking from my vantage point, it seems like it's a lot more methodical, a lot more precise, pretty deadly too. But like, do you notice that difference? Like, it just seems more business-like this year.
Maybe. I mean, there's some to that, no question. It's, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but like last year, that the feeling you have, like, I don't know, like it's like the first day of school, and that's kind of how that whole year was like that. And this year, it almost feels like it's like the last day of school, if you know what I'm saying in that regard. And we don't know what our team is going to look like next year, and if we're all going to be together again. Like I said, there's some crazy circumstances that had to happen, and for this team to stay together, and I know these guys understand that, they know that, and they're well aware of what they can cement to themselves if they can somehow get one more win. And it's been unbelievable to be a part of.
Thanks very much, Coach, for your